Hey, Lee Cole here. Thank you so much for looking at this video. I'm going to make this short and sweet. Last night, I was on a webinar. I was a guest presenter on the webinar, so this was not people from my list, although I knew a few of them. But basically what we were talking about was how to sell offline to a given business type. And I was giving people some pointers, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I happened to mention, because I realized a lot of those folks didn't know me, I happened to mention that I don't just create products, I don't just coach people and stuff like that. I actually walk the talk. As a matter of fact, so much so, I was telling people last night that that morning I was on the phone for 2 or 3 hours prospecting businesses for my offline business. Well, that would have been Monday. And the previous Friday and previous Friday and Thursday, I was doing the same thing. And then I went on to talk about this stuff on the webinar. So somebody in the chat says, could you tell us more about cold calling? Because we were having some Q&A at the end of the webinar. I said, sure. So we talked about it a little bit. Then somebody else dropped in there and said, hey, have you ever thought about actually offering a class on cold calling? I said, well, basically there are 4 ways to prospect. You can, there are more than 4, but there are 4 basic ways to prospect. You can go see businesses in person, you can cold call them, you can do direct mail, you can do email, or you can do various combinations of all of that. And I said, cold calling is actually, for me personally, a really cool way of getting business immediately, but I don't teach it a lot because I'm not convinced that people are really going to do it. So I said, I just asked, I said, well, let's stop the webinar for a minute and let me figure this out. And I just asked them, I said, guys, are you interested in a class on cold calling? Man, the chat just went, if you've ever been on the back end of a webinar, you have the little chat box where everybody's comments are. I mean, this thing just went like that. Yes, 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 yes. I thought, whoa, that's cool. So I thought about it, and then, so a couple other people were talking, they were saying, what price would you offer this for? And I said, I really don't know. I mean, my introductory classes that I do start at $197, and then once I do them the first time, price gets bumped up to $397, and those are good price points. I think a lot of people in that particular webinar might not have, a ton of money to spend on things, and I understand that. And I said, look, guys, let me just sit down and have a moment to myself where I can actually think about this. Because frankly, the cool thing about me teaching cold calling is I don't have to prepare. Seriously. I don't have to prepare a thing to teach you how to cold call because I know it, I taught it, I understand the whole thing, front to back. That would be about as easy for me as Albert Einstein teaching arithmetic, okay? So, in other words, I'm already prepared. So I was kind of thinking about that because a lot of times when you create a class, you have a lot of front-end work. I realized, well, I wouldn't have as much front-end work on this as normal. So anyway, I've decided to do it. Okay, I've decided to offer a class on cold calling. Now, I'm only offering this to a select group of people. This is going to be people on my list, and this was, as I said, I was a guest. I was a guest on someone else's webinar. So I'm going to include those people also, but that'll be it. And basically the way the class is going to run, we're going to have 3 webinars. You can see the dates below and you can see what each webinar is going to cover. First webinar is generalities, expectations, plus the initial approach. Because see, frankly, when you do cold calling right, it's really easy. It builds your business fast and it is not stressful at all. Second webinar will be all about follow-up, which is really the key. That's really where the gold is. And the third webinar, I thought, well, you know what? I mean, as long as I'm teaching people how to sell, I might as well teach you from front to back the whole thing. Third webinar is going to be me teaching you my sales presentation, which is unlike any sales presentation you've ever seen. It's also better. And also in the third third webinar, I thought that what I would do would be to also, as a bonus, teach you guys how to upsell at the point of sale, which is what I personally do. I don't upsell afterwards. I upsell at the point of sale. That way I have a very high percentage of turning $400 sales into $1,500 checks. That right there can make you a ton more money. So front to back, how Lee actually does the selling, focused on cold calling. got a class coming up. You can see the dates and the times. Everything's recorded. If you want in on this, the price is there. It's as low as I can get it to justify my time. I am aware that, you know, money's money. I understand that. But we got to kind of meet in the middle here. It's substantially lower than I normally offer an introductory class on anything. But, you know, I'm trying to respond to honestly to what people were telling me there. So that's the it and all about it. You have up until the day before, let's say 9 o'clock the night of the day before the webinar starts, to buy this. And in terms of getting a refund, if that's what you want, normally when I do webinar classes, and I'm doing this one this way, you go to the first one. If you decide you want a refund, you got to ask me for a refund before the second one starts. I think that's very fair. You're buying something sight unseen, and a lot of people may not. A lot of people have never been to a class of mine. My classes rock, by the way. People come away with a lot of knowledge, fired up, and actually make money with the stuff that I teach them, which is the most important part. So refunds up to the start of the second class. That's all written below. And let's rock and roll. Let's actually turn you into pros, because that's what this will do, quite frankly. This will turn you into a pro and will give you a remarkable business building strategy. Cool. Thank you so much for looking at the video, and hopefully I'll see you on the class.